Time. Before it became the linear construct we measure in hours and days, it was a rhythm of the deep. Before the first mountain was thrust into the sky, before the first gasp of breath was taken on land, there was only the water. Look at this planet. Look at its face. From this distance, our home is defined not by the land we conquer, but by the water we navigate. We call it Earth, a word of soil and stone, yet it is 71% ocean. It is a vast, interconnected sapphire body, the true heart of our water world. We are terrestrial creatures, tethered to the sunlit crusts of this planet, and for most of human history, we looked upon the ocean's surface as a barrier, a violent, unpredictable boundary that marked the edge of the known world. We saw the horizon not as an invitation, but as a limit. But the horizon is just a trick of perspective. Below it lies a universe we are only beginning to fathom. The ocean's surface is a deceptive mistress. It is a theater of chaotic majesty, where wind and gravity clash in a spectacular, ceaseless dance of rogue waves and frothy destruction. The Southern Ocean, the true engine of the world's currents, can generate titanic forces capable of crushing steel and taming ships. We have built our civilizations along these violent shores, celebrating its raw power, yet our knowledge has always stopped at the waterline. We are surface dwellers, defined by a crushing, profound ignorance of the true scale of our planet. For every kilometer of coastline we have mapped, there is an infinite, unexplored frontier waiting just below. We know more about the surface of Mars than the bottom of our own seas. This video is not a story of a boundary. It is an exploration of a frontier. A journey not across the ocean, but into it. A descent. The depth of the ocean is a chronological mirror. In the shallows, within the first 50 meters of the sunlit zone, lies the archive of human history. Here, sunbeams pierce the crystal-clear water, casting divine, shifting shafts of golden light onto a silent graveyard. Ancient Roman shipwrecks, their hulls preserved by the anaerobic silence of the deep, rest on the sandy bed. Their classical structures are a poignant reminder of our connection to the sea, a time when our ancestors navigated by the stars and believed the deep was populated by gods and monsters. These wrecks are time capsules, waiting for the curious. Yet, even this profound history is just the beginning. This sunlit layer, the epipelagic, where life is powered by the primary engine of photosynthesis, is a microscopic skin on the planet's volume. To truly understand the deep, we must leave the light. We must leave the surface behind and begin our descent. The descent into the abyss is a journey into the great unknown. It requires a technology that can withstand pressures greater than any vacuum in space. Imagine being sealed inside a highly advanced submersible, a spherical fortress of acrylic and titanium designed to protect your fragile human form from a world that wants to crush you with the weight of kilometers of water. Your headlights are the only light in existence. They cut through the dark blue void, illuminating millions of tiny, drifting particulates we call marine snow. This is the debris of life from the surface, the bodies of plankton, fecal matter, dust slowly falling to the seabed. In the beams of your headlights, it looks as if you are traveling through a galaxy of underwater stars, descending deeper and deeper into the eternal dark. This marine snow is the cornerstone of life below. It is the food that powers an ecosystem where the sun will never reach. At the very boundary of the sunlight zone, a spectacle of overwhelming biological magnitude occurs. Every dusk, as the sun begins to set, the boundary between the light and the dark is a stage for the greatest coordinated migration on Earth. Billions upon billions of silver lanternfish, small yet collectively monumental, rise from the depths to feed in the nutrient-rich surface waters. They move in a perfectly synchronized, heroic spiral, a living vortex that can be seen from space. Their silver scales reflect the last golden rays of the filtering sun, creating a swirling galaxy that moves like a single sentient being. This steel vertical migration is the planet's primary heartbeat, a biological tide of biomass that connects the surface to the abyss. The scale of this movement is staggering, a heroic biological symphony that dwarfs all human migrations combined. But as they rise, we must descend. We are crossing the threshold into the twilight realm. We have arrived at the twilight realm, the mesopelagic, 200 to 1,000 meters deep. This is a region defined not by light, but by its absence. The warm reds and oranges of the surface sun are stripped away within the first 100 meters. Now, only a profound, Murky indigo gloom remains, an endless twilight that is neither day nor night. It is a world of shadows, a domain of extreme camouflage and biological deception. To survive here, life must adapt to the terrifying reality of the darkness. Look closely at the Gothic architecture of this world. Meet the viperfish. Its suborbital photophore glows with a vibrant, electric neon blue light, a bioluminescent beacon designed to lure the curious and the blind. Its teeth are disproportionately massive, long, needle-like structures that are Gothic horrors in miniature. In this cold, high-tension world, biology has become a weapon. Every glint of light is a question, and often, the answer is a violent death. The Twilight Realm is a hunting ground for the Titans. The darkness here is not a barrier to all mammals. Meet the sperm whale, the true deep-diving king. Its massive, powerful body, scarred from battles with abyssal monsters we can only dream of, is a symbol of mammalian exploration. In a majestic, heroic action shot, it dives vertically, descending with incredible force from the surface, its eye open and focused, its sonar already pinging the abyss. It is going to hunt the giant squid in the dark blue void. The pressure is mounting. The water temperature is dropping. This whale must hold its breath for over an hour, navigating a lightless world using sound as its only map. It is a mammalian ambassador to the abyss, a testament to the heroic limits of life. The sperm whale is the bridge between the world of sunlight and the world of shadows. The deep-sea environment is an alien Earth. Our high-tech robotic ROVs, their bright LED lights cutting harsh, deep shadows through the gloom, are the first human eyes to scan these forbidden lands. At 800 meters, we are navigating a dynamic landscape that is as alien as the surface of Europa. Dramatic, jagged underwater volcanic ridges tower thousands of meters into the indigo twilight. These are not passive rocks. They are the geological heart of the planet, forged in fire and extreme pressure. The harsh light emphasizes their towering, bizarre shapes. Every nook and cranny could hide a species new to science. The feeling of discovery is profound. Every expedition to the Mesopelagic is a journey to a different world, a scientific frontier where the map is blank and the discoveries are guaranteed. We are the explorers of an alien wilderness that just happens to be on our own planet. In this cold, lightless world, beauty is not a requirement, yet it is abundant. Amidst the terrifying predators and the dynamic geology, life finds ways to create moments of ethereal, serene majesty. Look at this collective group of delicate, translucent jellyfish. They are moving with a slow, rhythmic grace, mimicking a constellation of underwater stars in the cold twilight water. Their vibrant bioluminescent patterns of purple and blue are not a warning. They are a language, a code of light that communicates in the silent dark. Their movement is a testament to the efficiency of evolution, a design that has existed completely unchanged for 500 million years. In this realm of shadows, they create a divine, ethereal beauty that challenges our definition of life. They are a profound, moving reminder that even in the absence of light, there is still the rhythm of life, the beauty of existence. As we approach the end of the Twilight Realm at 1,000 meters, the indigo gloom begins to fade into impenetrable, absolute blackness. The transition is profound. Now, we are entering the Midnight Zone, the bathypelagic. The abyss is about to become an eternal night. The closing shot of the Twilight Realm captures the massive, ghostly silhouette of the six-gill shark, an ancient sentinel of the deep. Its prehistoric form slowly vanishing into the suffocating darkness. Only its neon green eyes, the very last element visible, a haunting, moody glint of ancient wisdom before the black void consumes it. The concept of infinite time and profound mystery is overwhelming. The twilight has been a realm of shadows, a world of camouflage and adaptation. But the true abyss, the absolute black frontier of the Midnight Zone, is waiting. We have left the boundary of light, and now we must fully commit to the darkness. 1,000 meters down, we have crossed the final threshold. Above us, the memory of the sun has been completely extinguished. Welcome to the bathypelagic zone, the Midnight Zone. Here, the darkness is absolute, and broken, and eternal. It is an environment so hostile, so utterly alien to human biology, that stepping outside our armored submersible would result in instantaneous obliteration. The pressure here is a crushing physical force, hundreds of times greater than the atmosphere at sea level. It is a weight that compresses water itself, a silent, invisible vice that surrounds every living cell. Look out into the void. There are no landscapes here, no reefs, no rocks, no boundaries. Only an infinite volume of black water, filled with the endless, slow-falling blizzard of marine snow. This is the largest continuous habitat on planet Earth, yet it is a sensory deprivation chamber of unimaginable scale. To survive in this crushing blackness, life must abandon the rules of the surface and embrace the bizarre. In a world where you cannot see your predator, and you cannot see your prey, energy is the most precious currency. You do not chase, you wait. Drifting in the absolute stillness is the silent monarch of the Midnight Zone, the Black Seed Vole. She is a creature sculpted by starvation and pressure. Her body is pitch black, absorbing the darkness around her, making her virtually invisible. She possesses no speed, no muscular endurance. Instead, she holds a single, terrible weapon. From her forehead extends a modified dorsal fin, ending in a fleshy bulb filled with bioluminescent bacteria. In the infinite void, she casts a single, haunting pale blue light. To a starving fish wandering in the dark, this tiny glowing orb is an irresistible promise of food. But it is a promise of death. When the victim approaches the light, the seed vole unhinges a cavernous mouth lined with long, jagged, backward curving teeth. A biological trap that snaps shut in milliseconds. She is patience incarnated, but the Midnight Zone is not only home to the patient ambushers. It is the arena for the most legendary and seen battles on the planet. Hidden in the freezing gloom are giants, creatures of myth that science long dismissed as the hallucinations of sailors. Staring back at us from the abyss is an eye the size of a dinner plate, the largest eye in the animal kingdom, belonging to the Architeuthis ducks, the giant squid. Down here, sight is still a weapon, used to detect the faint bioluminescent wakes of movement in the dark. The giant squid is a titan of muscle and tentacles, armed with razor-sharp suckers and a crushing beak. But even this monster is not the apex. Plunging from the surface, holding its breath for an eternity, the sperm whale enters the arena. Here, in the crushing dark, the ultimate clash of titans unfolds. A titanic battle of echolocation against ancient, silent intelligence. We rarely see the war. We only see the colossal scars left on the skin of the whales that return to the surface. It is a majestic, violent cycle of life that happens entirely in the dark. When violence erupts in the dark, it often triggers a spectacle of light. Bioluminescence is the universal language of the deep. It is used to lure, to communicate, and to defend. Behold the Tala jellyfish. When caught in the jaws of a predator, it does not have venom to fight back. Instead, it uses a brilliant, hypnotic defense mechanism known as a biological burglar alarm. It flashes an intense, strobing circle of bright blue light around its bell, spinning like a cosmic siren. In a realm where stealth is survival, becoming the brightest object in the ocean is a desperate, calculated gamble. The flashing light acts as a distress signal, designed to attract an even larger predator from the surrounding darkness, a predator that might eat the creature currently attacking the jellyfish, allowing the Tala to escape in the ensuing chaos. It is a dazzling, sci-fi display of survival geometry. We continue our descent. 3,000 meters. 4,000 meters. The water temperature drops to just a few degrees above freezing. Eventually, the endless falling through the void comes to an end. We reach the floor of the world, the Abyssal Zone. Before us lies a landscape of staggering, desolate grandeur, the Abyssal Plain. It stretches on for thousands of miles, covering more than half of the Earth's surface. It is the largest, flattest, and most unexplored wilderness on our planet. It looks like a barren lunar landscape, draped not in rock, but in a thick, soft layer of pale gray mud. This is marine ooze, the accumulated dust of millions of years of falling marine snow, microscopic shells, and the bones of ancient whales. It is a silent desert of crushing pressure. The silence here is absolute. It is a profound emptiness that stretches to the horizons of the deep. Yet, even in this endless, freezing desert, life has found a foothold. The creatures of the Abyssal Plain are masters of minimalism. Standing motionless on the pale mud is a creature that defies gravity and current, the tripod fish. Because the mud is incredibly soft, resting on it would mean sinking and expending energy. Evolution provided a surreal solution. The fish uses 3 extraordinarily long, stiffened fin raised from its pelvis, one from its tail like rigid stilts. It elevates its body just above the seafloor, facing into the invisible, slow-moving Abyssal current. It does not swim. It simply stands, completely blind, spreading its pectoral fins like a satellite dish to feel the tiny vibrations of microscopic crustaceans drifting by. It is a monument of patience, a solitary statue in a desolate world, waiting for the ocean to bring it life. When a large meal finally falls from the surface, the carcass of a shark or a fallen whale, the Abyssal Plain transforms from a dessert into a slow-motion feeding frenzy, emerging from the darkness to claim the prize or the scavengers. The deep-sea gigantism takes hold here. Meet the giant isopod, related to the tiny pilbugs in your garden. In the abyss, this crustacean grows to the size of a small dog. It looks like a prehistoric armored tank crawling across the pale mud. It is an ancient design, heavily armored against the pressure and perfectly adapted to gorge itself on rotting flesh, storing enough energy in its massive body to survive years without another meal. The harsh lights cast long, dramatic shadows behind its shell, a grim reminder that in the abyss, nothing goes to waste. The dead of the surface fuel the life of the deep, but the abyss is not just a realm of monsters and scavengers. It harbors fragile, poetic beauty, hovering just above the dark seafloor, moving with an angelic, slow-motion elegance, is the Grimpeteuthus, the Dumbo octopus. It possesses no ink sac, for ink is useless in permanent darkness. It has no terrifying beak or crushing tentacles. Instead, it uses two large, ear-like fins on its mantle to fly through the crushing water. Its body is soft, pale pink, a stark and beautiful contrast to the heavy, oppressive darkness that surrounds it. It is a symbol of fragile grace, a delicate phantom dancing over the graves of the ancient world. It proves that even at the bottom of the world, evolution sculpts masterpieces of serenity. We have crossed the vast, flat expanse of the Abyssal Plain, but the ocean floor is not the end. As our lights cut through the gloom, the flat mud suddenly vanishes. The terrain breaks. We have reached the edge of a massive, sudden drop-off. A deep-sea trench. The abyss, which we thought was the bottom of the world, falls away into an even deeper, more terrifying black chasm. The pressure here is already unimaginable, but down there, it enters the realm of the extreme. This is the gateway to the Hadal Zone, the deepest scars on the face of the earth. We stand at the precipice of the underworld. The eternal frontier beckons. We must go deeper. For the entirety of human history, science held one absolute, unshakable truth: all life on Earth depends on the sun. The energy of light fuels the plants fuel the animals, and the cycle of biology turns. To live without the sun was considered a physical impossibility, until 1977, deep in the Pacific, along the cracks of the Earth's tectonic plates, we found an oasis of the impossible. We discovered the hydrothermal vents, the black smokers. Here, 4.00 meters deep, the freezing water of the abyss meets the molten magma of the Earth's mantle. Massive, jagged chimneys of volcanic rock rise from the seafloor like the spires of a ruined cathedral. They violently spew thick, billowing clouds of superheated, dark fluid into the freezing ocean. This water is over 400 degrees Celsius hot enough to melt lead, yet it does not boil due to the crushing pressure. It is highly acidic, saturated with toxic hydrogen sulfide. By all known laws of biology, this should be a dead zone, a toxic hellscape. Instead, it is teeming with life. In this realm of fire and poison, evolution tore up the rulebook. In the absence of sunlight, life here is powered by chemosynthesis. Bacteria have learned to eat the toxic chemicals vomiting from the Earth's core, turning poison into energy. Surrounding the smoking chimneys is a vibrant, alien garden. Giant tube worms, the Ripsha, grow in dense, towering forests. They have no mouth. They have no stomach. Their brilliant, blood-red, feather-like plumes extract oxygen and toxic sulfide from the boiling water, feeding the billions of symbiotic bacteria living inside their white, chitinous tubes. Crawling among them is a creature that defies imagination. The Yeti crab. Blind and colorless, it clings to the scalding rocks. Its long, pale claws are covered in a thick, silky, golden blonde hair. But this is not fur to keep warm. It is a biological farm. The crab cultivates colonies of bacteria on its hairy arms, waving them in the toxic currents to fertilize its crop, before scraping them off to feed itself. It is a farmer in the dark. The extreme environment forces extreme armor. Crawling slowly over the superheated rocks is the scaly foot snail, It is the only known animal on the planet to incorporate heavy metals directly into its skeleton. Its shell is a dark, metallic iron black, and its soft foot is covered in heavily armored, overlapping scales made of pure iron sulfide. It does not grow its armor. It forges it from the vent's volcanic exhaust. It is a living tank, a creature of biometal, engineered by the sheer brutality of its home. But the vents are not the only alien landscapes hidden in the deep. In places like the Gulf of Mexico, the ocean floor hides a mind-bending geological phenomenon. Underwater lakes, brine pools, massive depressions in the seabed fill with a cloudy, highly toxic, supersaline liquid that is much heavier than normal seawater. It settles into perfect pools, complete with distinct shorelines and waves, a lake beneath the ocean. Any fish that swims into this thick, toxic brine goes into toxic shock and dies instantly, preserving perfectly in the salt. It is a beautiful, ethereal, and deadly trap. The deep ocean is not just an environment. It is a collection of alien worlds. We leave the heat. We leave the plains. We have reached the scars of the earth, where tectonic plates collide and one is dragged violently beneath the other. The ocean floor plunges into massive, V-shaped canyons. These are the trenches. This is the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. As our submersible sinks into the gaping maw of the Mariana Trench, the walls close in. Steep, jagged, dark gray tectonic cliffs rise on both sides, funneling us down into an absolute, bottomless black void. The feeling is profoundly claustrophobic. We are passing 6.00 meters, 7.00 meters. The pressure here ceases to be a mere physical force. It becomes a state of reality. At these depths, the weight of the water above exerts a pressure of over 1.00 atmospheres. It is equivalent to having 50 jumbo jets stacked on top of a single human being. Under this immense, suffocating weight, the very chemistry of life begins to fail. Calcium dissolves. Proteins warp and refuse to fold. Bones become an impossibility. Yet, life refuses to surrender. At 8.00 meters deep, where the physics of biology scream that nothing should exist, the ghost glides through the dark. The Mariana snailfish, the deepest known fish on the planet. It does not look like a monster built to withstand 1,000 atmospheres. It looks incredibly fragile. Its body is completely translucent, a soft, pale pink blob of gelatinous tissue devoid of scales. You can see its internal organs functioning through its skin. But this apparent fragility is the secret to its survival. It lacks rigid bones and closed air cavities that would be instantly crushed. Instead, it relies on specialized chemicals piezolates that prevent its proteins from being physically squeezed out of shape. In this absolute underworld, this delicate, ghostly tadpole is the apex predator. It rules a kingdom of isolation, feeding on swarms of giant, pale amphipod scavengers that look like oversized, blind shrimp, aggressively devouring any organic matter that falls into the trench. They are the ultimate cleanup crew at the very limit of the biosphere. We fall further. 9.00 meters, 10.00 meters. The amphipods vanish. The snailfish are gone. Even the marine snow stops falling, having been consumed long before it reaches this depth. And then, the descent stops. We have arrived at the Challenger Deep, 10.99 meters below the surface of the Pacific. The absolute, undeniable bottom of the Earth. Look at this place. There are no towering mountains, no hydrothermal fires, no monsters of the abyss. There is only a barren, ultra-fine yellowish-gray silt landscape stretching endlessly into the dark, illuminated by a single, lonely headlight. It is the quietest, most isolated place in the solar system. More human beings have walked on the surface of the moon than have stared out of a window at this mud. To be here is to feel the profound, staggering weight of the entire planet pressing down upon you. It is the end of the line, the final frontier of our blue womb. A place of pure, undisturbed silence, keeping its secrets in the dark. We have reached the deepest trenches and explored the alien gardens of the vents. But the abyss is not merely a habitat for the bizarre. It is the ultimate vault of history. Because the deep ocean is freezing, dark, and largely devoid of oxygen, time moves differently here. It slows down. It preserves. Looming out of the darkness at 4.00 meters is a chilling monument to human ambition. A massive, steel leviathan of the early 20th century. An ocean liner, once the pride of an empire, now resting upright in the timeless silt. It is a ghost ship, weeping with long, orange rusticles, colonies of iron-eating bacteria slowly consuming the vessel atom by atom. The Titanic and her fallen sisters are not just wrecks. They are solemn reminders that the ocean always claims what we arrogantly build upon it. Down here, human tragedy is slowly folded into the eternal geology of the planet, but the deep does not only preserve our metal and our pride. It transforms death into the most spectacular explosions of life. When a 100-ton blue whale dies at the surface, its massive body sinks, falling for days through the water column until it hits the abyssal mud. This is a whale fall. In an environment where a single flake of marine snow is a meal, a fallen whale is an oasis that will sustain a localized ecosystem for over a century. First come the sleeper sharks and giant isopods to strip the flesh. Then, years later, the bone-eating Ozdax worms arrive. They have no eyes, no mouth, and no stomach. They secrete an acid to drill into the massive white ribcage, extracting the rich lipids hidden inside the bone marrow. It is a beautiful, gothic circle of life. Death at the surface brings life to the dark. Nearby, growing in the pitch black, is a forest of ancient, pale white deep-sea coral. And like shallow reefs that need sunlight, these skeletal structures filter the invisible currents. They grow perhaps a millimeter a year. The reef you are looking at has been growing continuously since the pyramids of Egypt were built. It is time, frozen in calcium. Look closely at the mud. Resting perfectly preserved in the fine, pale gray silt is a single, tarnished brass pocket watch. It fell from a sailor's pocket centuries ago. Its hands are frozen, its glass cracked. A tiny, translucent deep-sea shrimp crawls gently over its face, completely unaware of the human concept of hours and minutes. It is the ultimate collision of two worlds. Our frantic, fleeting human timeline, intersecting with the slow, crushing eternity of the abyss. The deep ocean does not judge. It does not remember. It only consumes, and it only endures. But we cannot stay here. Our life support is limited. The crushing weight of the water above is a constant reminder that we are merely fragile visitors in an alien realm. It is time to drop our ballast. It is time to begin the long journey home. As the submersible tilts upward, the impenetrable black begins, ever so slightly, to shift to a heavy, dark indigo. As we ascend through the water column, leaving the abyss behind, we must realize a fundamental truth. The deep ocean is not a disconnected, isolated underworld. It is the beating heart of our entire planet. Hidden beneath the surface is a global conveyor belt of thermohaline circulation. Massive, invisible rivers of freezing, nutrient-rich water flow from the poles along the Abyssal Plains, while warm surface currents rush to replace them. This slow, majestic pulse regulates the climate of the entire Earth. It absorbs the heat of our atmosphere. It captures the carbon from our skies. The abyss breathes for us. Without the deep, the surface would burn. Yet, this ancient, fragile equilibrium is facing its first true existential threat, not from asteroids, but from us. As our surface resources dwindle, the harsh yellow floodlights of massive, brutalist deep-sea mining machines are beginning to pierce the dark. We are preparing to strip mine the Abyssal Plains for rare earth metals, risking the destruction of ecosystems that took millions of years to evolve. Before we have even named the creatures that live there, we are a species driven by curiosity, but too often blinded by greed. We must decide if the deep ocean is merely a resource to be exploited, or a sacred wilderness to be protected. 500 meters, 200 meters. The watercolor transitions beautifully from dark indigo to a vibrant, glowing sapphire blue. Millions of tiny air bubbles rush past our glass dome. The heavy, crushing feeling of 1,000 atmospheres is lifting. And then we breach. We break the surface of the Pacific Ocean amidst a glorious splash of white foam. Above us is the sky. A breathtaking, vibrant sunrise paints the clouds in heroic shades of gold, magenta, and orange. The air is crisp. The light is blinding, and it is beautiful. The contrast between the eternal night we just left and the radiant dawn of the surface is the most profound experience a human being can endure. We have returned to our world of sunlight and air, but we return changed. Once you have looked into the abyss, you understand that the surface of the ocean is just a roof over a world we barely know. The monsters that time forgot, the alien gardens of fire, the fragile ghosts of the trenches, they are down there right now. In the dark, enduring, surviving. They do not need our light, but they desperately need our respect. The deep ocean is the final, true wilderness on planet Earth. It is a testament to the resilience of life, a vault of our history, and the silent guardian of our future. We must protect the dark, for the abyss is not just an empty void. It is the eternal frontier,